Support for the Okie Show is provided by the Oklahoma Film and Music Office. As the entertainment industry continues to flourish both globally and here in Oklahoma, the need for the continued development and expansion of our local film industry workforce and companies is critical. Join the action and start your new career in the Oklahoma film industry. Find out more at okfilmmusic.org/getting started. Hello and welcome to the podcast that explores the Heartland's entertainment industries. I'm Brian, your host, and I have a co-host on this episode, but he is elsewhere. He zooms into the episode as soon as our conversation with today's guest begins. That's right, Mr. Nicholas Szabo. He's missed on this intro. I miss him. Where are you, Nick? Come be with me. Anywho, yeah, I get to handle this intro all by myself, which, you know what? I don't think anybody wants, but here we are. And we just get to muscle our way through it. So today we're talking about a brand new position that has been created in the wake of this crazy COVID-19 situation that we are still living with. Just when you think it's gone, it's back. And then it's probably going to be gone again, and then it's going to come back. Until a freaking cure is created or whatever. I don't know. Guys, I don't even know what information to listen to at this point. I'm so confused. But you know what? Apparently everyone is. Everyone that I've talked to is just uber confused, and we're just we just want to go to work safely or not. I don't know. But anywho, the main point is that we have a whole new position on the set that handles COVID-19, and it's called the COVID coordinator. It's actually pretty cool because it's kind of an extension of the set medic. You know, normally on a set, we have a person walking around with a bag full of goodies just in case something goes horribly awry. And, normally on a set, you do not want to have to see them. Well, it's COVID-19 time, which means that you have to start out your day meeting with the COVID coordinator. You get to say hello. They scan you like you're a piece of paraphernalia at a Target, and then you can actually start your day. It's kind of cool, honestly, and just the fact that we have Emily O'Banion, today's guest, come on the show and just kind of talk about all the different procedures and the history of how we got here now, not the disease part, but like the actual handling the disease part. It's pretty cool. Emily is actually the nation's first COVID coordinator, and I don't know if we actually say it on the interview or not, but she may actually be the world's first COVID coordinator. And what's crazy is that she's from right here in Oklahoma. What? Frickin' groundbreaking, you say? I dare say you are correct, sir and madam. Emily has a really cool story. She's former military. She used to be a medic, flying around in helicopters and saving lives. And now she's on movie sets, just frickin' kicking COVID's butt and everything else's butt. It's pretty awesome. We got to work together on a little movie called Harvest of the Heart. And Harvest of the Heart was the first movie to be shot in the nation that was like SAG approved and all that kind of stuff post-COVID. In fact, there's even an article in Variety magazine where they featured our set, and it was kind of cool. But it was crazy, man. We had folks from SAG showing up and checking in on us. We had folks from IATSE calling in and making sure we were okay and everything. Like, it's a really high priority for everybody to go back to work safely and smoothly. We just want to be able to go to work, make our paychecks, go home, and, be able to be with our families and stuff. It's pretty neat. So I say that this intro, in which I'm flying solo, has already gone far too long. Let's get straight to the conversation with Miss Emily O'Banion. So we're here with Emily O'Banion. Welcome to the Okie Show, coming in via Zoom. How's it going?
It's good. Just caught me here. Got a little later crew call this afternoon for our last day. We'll wrap our show up tonight, the first show that was greenlit by SAG, filmed in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Mhm.
I know.
Look at us just breaking, you're like setting the new norm.
You guys get to be the first in the not like the Guinness book, but like just some kind of like, it's the okay book. Just like it's the first with COVID. Yeah. It's nice. It's nice.
And
a plaque is a plaque.
And you're technically the first COVID coordinator in the nation, could we say, on the planet?
I don't know. I believe so, on the planet. And it kind of came unexpectedly. Like, I didn't know that was the case. Kind of went into, obviously a set medic, was a paramedic in Oklahoma and in Canada for years. Did a little EMS, a lot of flight medicine, and kind of came into set back in 2016, and have been on the scene in Oklahoma here, really enjoying it, and learn something new every gig. But the show came to me. I had been on a little show that we went dark on back in March when COVID came on the scene. We were only 4 or 5 days away from wrapping that up. I was working as a set medic on it. COVID shows up, we go dark. And of course, everyone went dark. The planet did go dark as far as film is concerned.
Yep, very true.
The whole planet. So of course, just being in medicine, I was really keeping, my eyes on trying to discern some science. It was just a rapidly changing cluster
A cluster cuss.
that it was, and and always kind of in the back of my mind, watching both to protect my family and myself, but also thinking, how in the hell are we ever going to step back into the world and possibly put a screen back up? And so started working. Everything was kind of crazy. Film, actually, let me back up. There was a post made on a Oklahoma Facebook page. I don't even know who runs it. It was by Oklahoma Movie Makers. So I don't know who that is. But it said that there was this crew call for a film, and this was in April. Crew call for film looking to shoot in June in Oklahoma. And I was the first commenter on the post, and I said, we're not filming shit in Oklahoma in June. And
throw back your head and laugh.
And so actually it kind of I was approached by the director, Danny Roth, and he said, that they were going to do it right, that they were going to get, SAG was going to, they had cast SAG actors and actresses, and that they were going to start there. And I said, oh yeah, y'all, that's never going to work. SAG is never going to agree to any of this. And he said, well, we need protocols and guidelines that that SAG can get on board with and support. And I said, well, these are going to look ridiculous, and it's going to be very, cost ineffective. This is going to increase both your budget and the length of time, and reduce the number of people that can be on. So anyway, we just started tossing around mad ideas, and we pulled in from several different areas. So first of all, seeing as though the issue that we were encountering was a virus, I decided to start just with the leading officials and scientists that were following and tracking the virus. So, CDC did have some really good material. They were trying to keep up to date on it. The World Health Organization actually had some faster speeder material, some more high-speed material than even CDC did, and just watching really what other countries were doing. So we started looking at that. I started gathering everything that I could. No one really put anything out in our industry-wise until Lionsgate. There was the big Lionsgate leak of some protocols that they were looking at putting into place. And I want to say that was right around, I don't know, maybe April 25th or May 1st, somewhere around there. It may have been a little bit earlier than that. So this Lionsgate protocol guideline studio, or their studio guidelines of protocol leak was kind of put out, and everybody took a big gasp at everything. It broke down literally the entire industry. It reduced a crew to no more than 40 people on tier 3 projects.
Oh my gosh.
Inserted COVID testing, and inserted this COVID coordinator, and inserted all these checks and balances on set, and disinfectants, and and it looks so foreign looking at what actual life was going to look like, in prep, and then in production, and then in wrap, and then here came Danny Roth, this rogue dude who somehow gets hold of Oklahoma movie makers, who I still don't know who they are, and post this weird crew call for, we're going to make a movie in Oklahoma in June. And no, the hell you're not. So anyway, Danny Roth reaches out, and he's just like, no, we're going to do it. Like, we need to know, we need a COVID coordinator, and we need you to walk us through. And I said, well, this is going to, like I said, all the exact same things. It's a lot of money, and it's going to be a huge headache. And I don't know that you'll ever get SAG on board with doing something like this. And he said, well, I mean, can we try? Yeah, sure. Will you be our COVID coordinator? Sure. Yeah. It's not going to work, but yeah, we'll do it. And
I wonder how many of history's great milestones have come from like, yeah, sure, probably won't work, but yeah. Why not?
Let's, yeah, it sounds, yeah.
What, some kind of bulb of light? Sure, whatever. Okay, we'll try it.
Yeah. So we just start, pilfering kind of just different resources, research, different documents, and all kinds of industries we're putting out, so manufacturing was going back to work. So, okay, what are these assholes doing over here, on production lines and stuff? And we just started compiling, and things that sounded like they would keep us safe and could be applicable, I added to the list. And we started narrowing it down, and Danny said, well, let's bring SAG to the table. And he said, this is going to be our greatest obstacle, is, we can get, everything in place that we feel is safe and that we feel like is going to work. But until we get them on board, it doesn't matter what our ideas are. So let's bring them on board. And so they contacted SAG to begin negotiations for a contract, and SAG came to the table. They were, don't want to say evasive, they were elusive in any guidelines. So to be honest, I don't believe SAG had any guidelines in place. They didn't have any ideas. We had outpaced SAG in thought and production of some guidelines and policies and procedures that would take place on set. So it was quite frustrating at first, because we'd have conversations, we'd have emails back and forth, and they would ask open-ended questions instead of producing a rule or a set policy or a set way things were going to be done. It was asked, how are we going to do it? Well, then it was tasked to me to come back and figure this out and put it together in a way that's going to get approved by SAG. So I could tell as we were going along that we were actually helping SAG write their guidelines.
So SAG's just like, what would we do? Just like writing down on a notepad or something.
Yeah, you guys are like a group in a science, like doing a science class project.
Yes, yes.
SAG was that one guy.
that is one
guy.
I mean, that is what I would do. Of just like, so we obviously need to do.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, so what do you think about testing? But yeah, testing. What
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, testing, you nailed it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tip of my tongue.
So the conversations and the correspondence back and forth, it just seemed, to me, it seemed frustrated. I'm sure maybe other departments have had this same type of frustration, not in a COVID scenario. This was really the first time that I had direct negotiations and communications with SAG, like one-on-one. And so perhaps some of the confusion or the just, I don't know, meandering about ways that they came to asking what seemed to be a simple question. So perhaps others have encountered that. For me, it was like, one of the first time I've ever had like direct negotiations and communications with them. Mm-hmm. But so we started writing what became our COVID guidelines and policies and procedures, and we were able to satisfy seemingly everything. And so when we got it came down to and as the project, as Danny started setting start dates, we only moved the start date, we only pushed one time. And and so it was established, we will, at the beginning, it was very early on, we established it's not negotiable. Every person, every crew member, every cast member, every extra, every location owner that could possibly be there, everyone is getting COVID tested, and we're going to have recent negative COVID tests on everyone. And so then that actually became one of my greatest hurdles, because the state of Oklahoma was not cooperative in any way. It's a very patchwork system of testing. It's a very patchwork system of how to book an appointment to get tested. It's how long from the time that the test is given, how long to the results. Are the results given by phone? Are the results given by mail? Are the results given by email?
Because like on our crew, whenever we all had to do that, like getting the freaking results seemed to be the they wouldn't give it to some of us.
Greatest hurdle. And so this, trying to put together some type of policy or some type of guideline for everyone to get tested, the state of Oklahoma just would not cooperate with me whatsoever. And by the state of Oklahoma, I mean the medical laboratories and our healthcare system here, that it was just this piecework, patchwork mess.
Right.
And so,
they're just pulling tests from like drawers and stuff. Like, here's like 4. I don't know. Like,
yeah. So kind of like, so there is a system called, I think it's do I need a COVID test.com. So that was the first, system that I could find that was a sure thing. You could log onto this site. You didn't have to have insurance. You didn't have to pay up front. It wasn't out-of-pocket cost. Everyone could go get one. There were multiple locations in the state. They would do the test. You could sign up online, and you could get the results back through, in a portal that I could then log on, or you could log on, print off, and then I could verify that you actually have this test. But from the time of getting your appointment, logging online, filling out your information, getting your little identification number or account or whatever, to getting your appointment, to getting the test results back, was like a 14-day stretch. And So others were finding, and I'm glad, but it was like, well, I found the Indian Health Service in Comanche does instant tests. Okay, well, let's do that. Yeah, if you can get that, do that. Okay, well, then I found CVS is doing them and you get them back in 2 to 4 days. Well, I mean, yes, do that. Like, if you can do that, do back. But there were so many different ways that I couldn't verify, like, firsthand. Okay, at CVS, if you call and make an appointment, there's no upfront cost, or because it wasn't that production was unwilling to pay the cost of the COVID test. It was that, with 10 different options, were they going to be $500 at this place? Was this place actually going to do it? And then there's some place in Norman that was advertising these 15-minute tests. And come to find out, these 15-minute tests were actually some kind of antibody test that was not FDA approved, that the interpretation of the test, so yeah, you've got a positive IgG for the coronavirus, but it's still, the interpretation for that is left up scientifically to, you could have had it, you might have it, you don't have it. Like, there's no way that could be interpreted.
It's just all over the place. Yeah, because I remember, like, I went to go get my first COVID test for this project, and they did the little throat swab. The results were taking too long to come in, so then I went for a second time and got another throat swab, and then they gave me the antibody, and we're just going to poke your finger test, and then that was taking too long. And then I got the nasal swab, and let me tell you, folks, that hurts like a mofo.
Yeah.
That is them sticking a stick up into your brain.
Right, absolutely. And so that was, I would say, the hardest piece of, I mean, not that SAG was just a blow off of, because I mean, they did ask some very important questions. And we had to lock in, we had to determine what was going to be the safest, most effective way to put different departmental guidelines and policies. But then we had to lock them in so that we could actually get SAG to sign off on them. And then once they were locked in, those were our marching orders.
Right.
And so I would say that, that process, was a little swifter. And I've got some feedback on what we did end up locking in, what I think could be changed. But the big process for Oklahoma right now is that until we get some centralized, cohesive testing options, i.e. a rapid test, which is available, FDA approved. It's available in very spotty areas. Oklahoma City gets 15 a day. And that's going to make things,
at that rate, it'll be great. We'll solve this by
the listeners couldn't see the very confused look on both Nick and my face.
Like, what who's sitting there just like counting out the tests, like Oklahoma City population 100 fitting sounds right.
Yes. So I happened to be the one that got to figure out that we had 15 rapid tests because we had Wednesday off. So Tuesday night, I get home from set and I'm like, we've been outside. We were in a vineyard. So lots of allergies. Everybody been on Allegra. We've been dealing with this. And which is a discernment issue in and of itself. Overly cautious that not to wipe any kind of allergen or allergy symptom away as a possible COVID, but also realizing that we're in Oklahoma in the spring and we're in a vineyard outdoors. So this is, which I feel like we had done really well. And Brian can speak to that. Like everyone was really on their allergy medication. There really hadn't been any symptoms. So we wrap on Tuesday night. I get home and I'm like, man, I'm like all of a sudden don't feel good. Like chapped lip, snotty nose. And it just really, no fever, but couldn't tell if it was allergies. So I'm calling my doctor, I'm calling everybody, and I'm thinking to myself, I've got to have a negative COVID test before I can go back on set on Thursday. So I immediately notify production, hey, this is what's up. I've gotten home. I feel like I have a cold, which obviously is nothing in good times, but it's bad times. And so I'm going to be humping ass tomorrow to get a test. Thankfully we had a second, we did have a backup. We had a second medic that had been screened negative COVID test. Riley, she was on call. So I had her, she was going to be able to work on Thursday. Did I not, or it had something else come up. So we did have a second medic that was screened and, kind of ready to backfill. But, so Wednesday, so I find out about these tests, Access Medical Center. They've got rapid COVID screening test. Call, so you need to be here at 8:00 in the morning. When you get here at 8:00 in the morning, this is the number that you call from the parking lot, and then someone will come out and screen you. Well, I get there at 8:00 in the morning, 7:55 about, and the parking lot looks like they are tailgating a OU-OSU game. I mean, hundreds of people.
Oh,
the
wow.
number is written in shoe polish on the window of the clinic. It is ringing busy. Everyone is literally out on their cell phones in this parking lot. It's ringing busy. It's like the radio station is having a giveaway. And so, yes, they have 15 tests.
People are popping kegs and barbecuing and just throwing the football around.
Just waiting for the phone to ring and not ring busy. That's how even unsophisticated this process was. So ring busy, ring busy, ring busy for 100 people. And then the first person, get in, boom. That's number one. They come out and swab you. 100 people calling. The second person to get it. So that's what I spent my Wednesday doing. I could just say that it's that's going to be a huge issue is in any way bringing on a crew, because someone is going to get a sniffle or someone is going to get a fever along the process. We need rapid screenings that we can do on the spot in order to, number one, prevent anyone ill from being back on set, and number two, prevent having to quarantine the entire crew and cast after having been on set with someone that develops a cold, i.e. me on Wednesday.
Oof.
So I drove to, long story short, I drove to Enid. They had rapid tests. After calling 100 people in the state, I was able to get a rapid test in Enid, which was negative, and I went back to work. Testing, that's it. That's a huge thing. And
that's just step one
of
this cavalcade of new stuff.
Marlowe House is a professional hair and makeup services company based in Oklahoma City that specializes in special events and film production. So, if you've got like a wedding or a prom or a bat mitzvah, Marlowe House will make you look like a freaking princess. Even if you've got a cool themed party and you want to stand out in the crowd, one of Marlowe House's many stylists can give you a look that's unique, stylish, and make people go,
"Oh, dang!"
Marlowe House's client coordinator will assess client needs, then sign the best stylist for the job, complete with invoicing and follow-up feedback. Owner and makeup artist Tony Marlowe cares about giving every client in movie production the highest quality and professionalism that a hair and makeup department can offer. So, if you need a stylist for your event or a makeup artist for your film, hit up Marlowe House at their website, marlowehouse.com. That's MARLOHAUS.com.
Grandson, I'd like to read you a book.
A book?
That's right. When I was your age, television was called books, and this is a very special book. A book my father used to read to me when I was sick, and I used to read it to your father. And today I'm going to read it to you. Now, Chapter 1. Altgate is a commercial insurance broker with film and entertainment expertise, headquartered in Oklahoma.
Grandpa?
At Altgate, they're experts in film and entertainment insurance. Like one time we were shooting down in a valley and a monsoon came out of nowhere. Within minutes, the whole set and all of our equipment was underwater. But guess what?
You had production insurance?
We had production insurance.
Another time, we were shooting in a historic building, and a grip sent a C-stand sailing right through the priceless painting. Boom!
Oh, geez. Did you have...
You bet your small coffee keister we had production insurance.
Are you reading that book?
Aldgate Insurance has the same access to insurance as a broker from New York or LA, but they're in Oklahoma, you see. That means you get the Oklahoma film rebate and local people available anytime you need them.
But I have pink eye.
Check them out online at oklahoma-film.com or call them at 918-574-4555. They place annual policies for producers of all types, post-production E&O, and specific film project policies for budgets of all sizes. And they work with musicians, too, placing insurance for gigs and events of all types.
Can they get annual policies for production companies as well as one-off insurance for a single production?
Sure as shootin'. No matter what's your budget, whether it's a $5,000 budget or a $15 million budget, Aldgate Insurance can help you. And they can also fund you coverage for post-production errors and omissions. And you're gonna need it in order to get your film distributed.
Grandpa?
Yeah, kid?
I kind of feel like we should call Aldgate at 918-574-4555 for our movie's production insurance. That's 918-574-4555.
You're a smart kid, you know that? Oh, look at that. And they all lived happily ever after. The end.
Hey, Grandpa?
Yeah, kid?
That was a weird book. Actually, it kind of felt more like a podcast mid-roll ad. But maybe 2 weeks from now you can read it to me again.
As you wish.
What is the set? It kind of described to the listeners what the set now looks like.
Okay, so yeah, so
set.
testing is step one, and then in prep we did a lot of virtual prep. So wardrobe kind of does their own thing in their department. They pick one person that is kind of the purchaser that's going to go out into public. Still following all the safe guidelines. They have a purchaser. They use kind of a virtual office for costuming and wardrobe, i.e., somebody's house. And then they're doing a lot of their whatever wardrobe does. Their fittings. They're discussing this fabric and that style and this and that virtually over Zoom. So our wardrobe department really never established at the PO. I do know that there were a couple of fittings where they met after hours when no one else was at the PO, and they did a couple of fittings. But wardrobe did their own thing. And then the same really for the art department. The art department did their purchasing. It's best to send one person into public. It limits the exposure for people that are shopping, and of course they use safe guidelines. And then Ryan, you did sound.
Yeah, we did a lot of sanitizing at the top of the day, and I started off because I was a one-man band department on this particular movie, just because they were trying to keep the numbers pretty low, and started off wearing gloves. After a while, I just hand sanitized before actually putting them on the actors and stuff. Just because it turns out whenever you're wearing surgical gloves, it's weirdly difficult to work with things.
To do things.
Yeah.
And with
Great news for surgery.
I would comment that with intact skin, so without cuts on your hands, intact skin is just as safe as gloves. So as far as the coronavirus is concerned. So with vigorous hand washing and with hand sanitation, there can be some misconception that gloves would keep you safer. So, there's a misconception, I'm glad you brought it up, Brian, about gloves, is that, we see medical professionals, they come out to do a procedure, they've got gloves on. Well, that's whatever. Well, and it is true. There is a level of protection in gloves, and that is if they're applicable, if they're the right protection for the job. So if you're not touching blood or guts, you may not need them. So, gloves can be right if it's not like a fine textile type of scenario like you were doing where you felt clumsy and this and that. But as long as you have intact skin, hand washing and hand sanitation is providing for coronavirus ample protection from you and from that person. So
Good. That's good.
Thanks, intact skin.
Yeah.
thanks, intact skin. Yeah. So back to, you kind of said, what does that look like? So in the morning you arrive, and I was central to an arrival point, and ask a few questions. Are you sick? Have you been around anybody that's sick? And then take a temperature, make contact with everybody, and just kind of eyeball. We had and so everybody checked in the morning. Of course, I had seen everyone's COVID results. I was the central person that checked in all the COVID results before day one. So everyone that was arriving, I already knew that we had their negative COVID results. A couple of times we added some players to the game. When we changed locations, we had 2 new location owners. And so, just verifying your such and such, your such and such, and then, having to go back and jog my memory, look up in my files, make sure we did have those COVID negative results, and then also check them in. So everybody gets checked in for the day. Masks were required. And, moving forward, I think that there's kind of zones now that I kind of saw, and Brian, you may be able to give some feedback on this as well.
Sure.
But a zone would be kind of the periphery of the set. So I think definitely moving forward, if we have a Crafty, I think Crafty would definitely be someone that would be kind of in the exterior zone. So you're but then once you move closer to set, especially in the morning, especially setting up and moving, G&E, there were only 3 guys that were working with Grips and Electric. We had put them in their pod system. You guys are touching your equipment. Y'all are drinking drinks out of the same igloo. Y'all are touching.
Y'all are disgusting.
If someone in your Grip and Electric department gets COVID, there is a greater possibility that all 3 of y'all are going to get COVID due to the fact that you're working together. We recognize that. We saw that up front. And moving forward, we had a couple of 100-degree days, and the mask requirement, not just for safety, but for moving equipment outside great distances, often the 3 of them just working in conjunction with each other, going to the truck, getting equipment off the truck, going to, establishing it on set, setting it up, moving it around. The 3 of them work closely together, but the majority of the time they were 6 feet away from others. And so, that was a policy and a guideline that we locked in. We locked it in with SAG, so we continued it. However, moving forward, and we'll have these conversations with SAG, I believe that they can be zoned in a much less category, much farther away removed category of mask wearing 24/7.
Right.
The same with yourself, Brian. Sound. So you show up. You have your little hidey hole. You set up. You get all your stuff kind of wiped down. Whatever you do over there. We made a lot of jokes. We talked a lot of shit. Talked a lot of stuff. And
the last time I worked with him, he usually actually had a bucket of blood and guts that he would just stick his hands in every day.
Time to start the day.
Well, after COVID, he talks a lot about chickens. He talks a lot about his garden.
Brian the farmer is much different than Brian the wild on-set person.
Right.
He's a simple man who enjoys his chickens and his gardening.
That's right.
And don't get in his yard, kids.
Stay off my lawn.
Yeah. Well, no, it will make the the hens disrupted, and they will not be
Yeah.
laying.
It's very true. They get very upset if somebody
They're
gets in
very-
their territory.
They're very personable chickens.
But I saw Brian, by nature of sound, isolate himself a great distance away from anyone in the morning, setting up.
Normal.
Normal. And as normal, stay the hell away from everyone. Hide in the farthest hole. And
Yep.
and there's no need. There's no need then. Once he's where he's at, then there's absolutely no need for him to have a mask on.
Yeah.
And then when he's coming into set, when he's wiring everyone, obviously that's a given. There's going
Yep.
to be both sides. And so, there was a need for a mask then. He mentioned wearing gloves, figuring out that, the dexterity of his fingers covered in rubber really weren't as great. As long as he's got intact skin, he doesn't have any open sores, then, it's 100% fine. Wash your hands, put the shit on, wash your hands. And then, on set, again, we were outdoors the entire time. He's got a boom. He is far away from everyone. The need to mask in the zone of set is he again is at a removed risk. So moving forward, we'll be looking at that. It's just not it's just not feasible to do that.
Right. Well, and also, how do you feel about the first thing that I feel like we encountered on those hot days? On those hot days, having a mask over your face while you're moving stuff around,
definitely
very problematic.
It was problematic. We had to have a lot of extra attention with cooling to try to reduce temperatures. It does. Blowing your hot air off is one of the body's ways of reducing your body temperature. So when you have something over it, it just doesn't. And it inhibited and made jobs worse. I saw the most for G&E sound and the art department. And I'm not saying the onset prop. We only had two people in the art department. And as far as like the onset dresser, it was actually a safety hazard in the heat to have someone masked in that. So
Right.
Moving forward, that is something that I really, I gave SAG immediate feedback on. Look, we locked in these policies and procedures. We got this approved, and we followed it. But moving forward, this is going to have to be something that is relooked at. My idea would be zones, zones, hair and makeup in confined areas, in air conditioning, masked 100. When they come outside and they're in the set zone, there's no more 10 people in Video Village any longer. So when they're on set, they're in open air, hair and makeup sitting there. They no longer need to be masked. So I gave some feedback about this look. Luckily our script was set outdoors a lot. So disinfecting and cleaning was, really just dressing whatever the art department had, and then our common areas. We ate outside. We ate away from each other more than normal.
Again, that's what Brian does.
It really fed my antisocial nature.
Yeah.
People think that I'm like super extroverted. I'm not. I like being alone.
He's just hiding behind his cart.
Yes.
Yeah, judging people.
Judging people. So lunch was boxed, which was great. We had a small crew, and catering was very responsive. Guy is great. His name is Brian Self.
Oh God, he was awesome.
Yeah, so good. I mean, literally put food out. And although it was boxed, you got your choice. So lunch was boxed. we got that to the got that to the table. We ate effectively. It was good. I didn't have any issues. And then, just general cleaning after meals. I was kind of the one-man show on that. If it was any bigger production, I'm pretty sure that, well, I know I would have a PA or someone to kind of give me a hand with all the cleaning. Emphasized, if it's your trash, throw your trash away. That's just like a petri dish sitting there. Overall,
It's also common courtesy.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
there's any good thing that's come out of this, it's gotten people to just like just pick up after yourself, man.
Just for the first time, they're like, yes,
Yeah.
I don't want other people touching it.
Right. If I don't throw my own garbage away, someone could actually have serious repercussions.
The garbage fairy doesn't get COVID, does it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, overall, I think it slowed us down. My guess would be about 20%. I don't know what you think, Brian, but I think
I'd agree with that.
20%. I think 20% is a good figure from globally on production.
Yeah.
I think that the actual hell part was masks and in the heat, and then not having crafty, because we each had individual ice chests to reduce. Each department had their ice chest they were supposed to get in, and not having crafty. Ours ran out all the time. So, yeah, I don't know. Anything else? Any other questions or?
What do you see the future of all this being like? Because we're still figuring stuff out. We're still adjusting. Like just in the course of this production, we've learned some things and adjusted some things. What do you see in the next 5 years? Are we going to stick to all this, or do you?
So I see. I don't know if anyone's been noticing or not, but like our numbers, not only statewide, but nationally and worldwide, like our numbers are creeping right back up.
Yeah.
And there have been some pretty significant spikes.
Mhm.
I don't see that there is going to be any safe way to film without interruptions or going dark that could possibly tank a production without rapid testing.
Right.
Rapid testing is going to also increase our abilities on set to move freely and not in fear and not with prohibitive or oppressive guidelines like the mask 24/7 and these kind of things.
That was a thought that I had, was like I could see it'd be nice if we could take weekly on-set COVID tests, if that was ever happen.
Even to the point, I would really push for any project much bigger than the one that we were on. They need to do dailies. Dailies are going to actually allow us to a daily rapid screening is actually going to allow us to film a movie.
Yeah.
To be able to isolate, to not being able to not have to quarantine, to be able to interact and actually, I don't know if we just got lucky that we were able to get this into the can and knock on something tonight
Mhm.
to be in the can, without
Someone sneezed on it.
Yeah.
The last card.
We were so close.
But it was a small crew. I feel like we were pretty strict. I feel like possibly we just also dodged some bullets. We did it outside. There were a lot of things that made this successful, but I feel there are so many different variables that a next show, even filmed the exact same way, could run into. One is, what if I would have been positive? Without rapid screening, we would have all had to quarantine, because I had been there on Tuesday. I wasn't sick on Tuesday, but obviously I had been getting sick on Tuesday. So without rapid screenings ad nauseum, I don't see that would tank another show if I popped back positive.
Right.
And I think that would be a fear to me if I had, if I had a budget, if I had one shot at this. I don't think I would be looking to produce my script in a time like this if it was something that was near and dear to me. If it's content, if you've got to weigh the risk. If it's content, but in any kind of personal project, I don't know that I would film until we have rapid screenings and until we get some better, some definitive control on this. Because right now the reaction to a positive test is a quarantine of 14 days, and that reaction cannot be overcome. So that's everyone, and that's going dark for the project. So moving forward, we need rapid tests. Crew sizes, it does not matter what the budget of the film is. Crew sizes are going to have to be very limited. I know we're talking about this Reagan show that's coming up. I don't know if that's a tier 2 or tier 3, but that would host the crew well over 100 on a given day, on a 6 months ago. But even a show like that, the crews are looking at IATSE's guidelines are looking at a crew reduced, department size reduced on set to 3 and 4 people. That's going to be we're going to have to figure out how to cheat a lot more. We're going to have to figure out, is the product going to be as good? Is this going to, how do you do this? I don't know. A little Lifetime, a little Hallmark movie, a little 1, 2, and then some close-up shots. We were able to put that in the can. I don't know how else, because crew sizes are going to be limited.
Right.
So
what do you have to say to the, just as a below the liner who has seen a lot of people try to slip through regulations and stuff, like try to cheat. How do we avoid that? Like, how can we, as below the liners?
It's concerning. And to be honest, I have been concerned in the last couple of weeks. I've never ever inserted myself into another filmmaker or another crew or another project that's going on that I haven't been asked to be involved in. I think that we have to take some personal, not accountability for ourselves, because that would just include testing ourselves, make sure we're washing our hands, making sure we're washing our masks and staying safe. But it also is a challenge to those above the line. And that would be, at this time, everyone that has applied for a job or has been offered a job and gotten a job obviously is aware of the risk, and make sure they're aware of the risk. Second, don't lie. There is no workers' comp insurance on the planet that is covering any COVID-related illness or COVID-related work loss. Also at this time, there is no production insurance that is covering these costs. So it would be a personal liability of the producers that are directly involved. So we need to understand, what that looks like, and make sure that we know. We also need to know that a lot of our fellow filmmakers have folks at home that are medically fragile or that are vulnerable. COVID may not affect us, but COVID is still affecting others. So I would really challenge anyone to inquire. Although testing the crew, testing the cast, and testing anyone involved in locations or extras isn't a fail-safe way, it really is a good place to start. It was a pain. That was the greatest hurdle and obstacle to get into production. but I think it is, well, number one is the only way that I felt comfortable and safe signing my name on as COVID coordinator, as that medic, but also it was a great protection for those around us to start with a clean slate. And I would challenge everyone, not to do it the easy way, not to do it the cheap way. If you have a project that's really burning right now and you really want to get it going, honestly, you might want to think about the risk and wait for a safer time health wise. Budget right now, if you have a movie and you have a budget and you have backers, then it takes money right now to film in this climate. And and work on something that does have a budget, work on something that does have funding that's not skimpy. I've had a couple people ask me about their personal projects. Hey, we do have this funded, but we have it funded pre-COVID. What would you say? And I would say, hold it. You will have the chance to film that. It will come together for you. But work right now where it's safe. And that's what I'd say. And I really enjoyed working with you, Brian. I'm grateful for the invite.
Yeah, it was so fun getting to meet you and work with you too. Like it was honestly, you brought such a comfort to the set of like working on this movie was the first time back onto a set since the beginning of the whole quarantine. So for over 3 months. And I think all of us were pretty apprehensive whenever we signed on of like, boy, I really hope that they do this safely and smartly. And having you on set and taking it so seriously was very much a comfort. So I'm thankful for you. I appreciate
Thank you for watching over Brian.
Yeah, thank you.
You protected it.
Yeah,
Thank
you kept me safe. Well, before we let you go, where can people in the future, if they need an on-set medic or even just a consultation about COVID coordinating, where can people reach out to you?
Yeah, for sure. So, so I've got a little doing business as Oklahoma Set Medics. And my email address, Brian, is eaobanion@yahoo.com. Yeah, because I'm 40 years old.
Yahoo. Yeah.
Yahoo.
Okay. And then my number, just drop my number, 918-312-2191.
Love it.
And anybody can reach out, even if they're not looking to hire someone, if they have questions or they want, and by anyone, I mean anyone in our Oklahoma community. So I'm not just going to, so yeah, I'm not free, but I'm free to any of us that care, and I want to keep us safe. So
yeah,
awesome.
Well, we appreciate you, Emily.
Thanks for hanging out with us Gmail accounters.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
All righty.
Okay, bye-bye.
The Okie Show is a mostly harmless media podcast recorded at Tower Studios in Oklahoma City. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. If you're a business or industry professional that would like to advertise on the podcast, email info@okieshowshow.com. Rates starting as low as $25.